On a rainy evening in the village of Bach, a heavy silence hangs over Bolu's tea stall. 3 men sit staring into their cups, letting the hot tea turn cold as the evening light fades. The villagers had recently managed to pool their meager savings to build a medical clinic, but the funds ran out entirely just before they could purchase any hospital beds. Without equipment, the building is little more than a shell. Every time a neighbor falls ill, they still face a 10-mile trek to the nearest town, a journey that has already claimed several lives. The village headmaster, Kailash, decides to step in. He announces that he will travel to the distant village of Ichapur to sell his own ancestral land to pay for the missing equipment. It is a decision that will cost him his only inheritance. By the next morning, Kailash, Ramlal, and Madhav are on a train, heading toward the river that separates them from the land sale.
Out of the sheets of rain, a figure slowly takes shape. It is Ratan, a fan puller Kailash hasn't seen in months. He offers to take the group to his nearby home to wait out the weather. As he pulls the heavy van through the mud, Kailash asks the elderly man if the physical labor is becoming too much for him. Ratan answers that he used to feel the strain, but now the exhaustion simply doesn't affect him anymore.
When they reach the house, the air inside is heavy with the scent of decay. The floors are slick with rainwater, and the windows rattle in their frames, as if the building hasn't been lived in for years. Despite the freezing wind outside, Ratan refuses to stay under his own roof. He tells the men to rest, and then disappears back into the storm. The trio is finally out of the rain, but the house feels wrong. They are left alone in a damp, silent room, listening to the wind howl against the walls. Late in the night, a rhythmic thudding wakes Kailash. It's the sound of a metal blade striking wet earth. He looks through a cracked window and sees Ratan standing beneath a large tree, digging a hole with frantic, repetitive motions until he pulls a clay pot from the mud. Kailash wakes the others, and by the time they step outside into the rain, Ratan is gone. The hole is open, and the pot is sitting right where he left it. They approach the tree and find the pot filled with soaked currency and old coins, abandoned in the dirt. There is enough money here to pay for every hospital bed the clinic needs. It is sitting in the mud, seemingly forgotten by the man who just spent his night digging it up. The men stand over the fortune, realizing that taking it would solve their village's crisis instantly. They wouldn't need to sell the land, and the clinic could open by the end of the week. But Kailash shakes his head. He tells the others that the money belongs to Ratan, and they cannot build a place of healing on the back of a theft. As they turn to leave the money behind, the branches above them lash out. A distorted, monstrous face begins to form in the wood of the tree, looming over them in the dark. Then the twisted features begin to melt away. The anger leaves the spirit's eyes, and the face shifts back into the familiar, tired expression of Ratan the van puller. Ratan explains that he didn't just survive the storm. He died in an accident over a year ago. This illustrates the spiritual trap Ratan has lived in since his death. His soul remained anchored to the soil because he could not let go of the wealth he had buried during his life. To find mukti, or liberation, Ratan had to give the money away, but the gift would only count if it were accepted by people who sought no personal gain. Kailash's refusal to steal the pot was the only thing that could sever those ties. Ratan tells them to take the money and use it for the hospital. With his burden finally shared, the ghost fades into the rain, leaving the 3 men alone with the means to save their village. Months later, the Bachganj clinic finally opens with rows of clean white beds. They set out to save their neighbors through sacrifice, but by maintaining their integrity, they managed to provide peace for the dead as well.